Shutdown, Part 4. Let's talk about the endgame, except it's not a game. It's Saturday, the 12th of October, and where do we stand? Well, the government has been shut for nearly 2 weeks, but things are in motion. As of today, it looks like the GOP is caving. The GOP has stung themselves very badly on this. They're scrambling to get out of it. We're also under the shadow of another potentially bigger crisis as the U.S. flirts with default, an event that most economists and bankers say will stop the economic recovery in its tracks and trigger a global economic crisis. Let's not forget that the Republicans spent the better part of the year refusing to negotiate on budgets just so they could back Obama into this corner. Turns out this is a plan they cooked up and set in motion back in February. They were looking for what they politely call leverage and what the rest of us call blackmail. The president has made it clear he will not negotiate under these conditions, and here's why. When blackmailers succeed, they come back and blackmail again. If this had worked out for them, the GOP would be manufacturing crisis after crisis, demand after demand. B.F. Skinner demonstrated that when a rat gets a pellet for pressing a lever, the rat learns to keep pressing the lever. Unfortunately, President Obama gave the GOP some pellets last time they pulled this stunt, and they're back again. I think the president has learned he can't afford to give them any more pellets. Representative Paul Ryan, he was the vice presidential candidate who ran with Mitt Romney, and he's the chairman of the House Budget Committee. Paul Ryan wrote an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal on how to solve the crisis. It was a standard GOP wish list with one remarkable omission. He didn't mention Obamacare, didn't mention it. Eric Cantor, he's the majority leader in the House, wrote a similar piece in the Washington Post, didn't mention Obamacare. Now think about that. This whole crisis is cooked up because Obamacare was such a horror, and when crunch time comes, two of the top Republican leaders quietly forget to mention it. That was the first big sign that the GOP establishment is backing away from the Tea Party and is preparing to lose. Second sign, the billionaire Koch brothers, who have financed the Tea Party and spent more than $200 million attacking Obamacare, the Koch brothers issued a statement saying they don't like Obamacare, but it's not worth shutting the government down over it. The money guys, having built this Frankenstein creature, are suddenly not happy to see it rampaging through the village. Also on Wednesday, the Gallup Poll released numbers showing the public is just not buying what the GOP is selling. A 10-point approval drop in 1 month from 38 to 28%. Big drop. So it's clear the establishment knows they can't win. The core of the Tea Party may still be giddy, but the country is not with them. And then comes Thursday. On Thursday, Speaker of the House John Boehner caved. Not totally, but significantly. We'll raise the debt limit for 6 weeks, but keep the government shut. And Obama needs to start negotiating now. With the threat of default removed or at least postponed, Wall Street rallied. The market jumped over 300 points. And then another 100 points yesterday. Also on Thursday, more poll numbers hit. For Republicans, they were devastating. GOP has been insisting it was the president who shut down the government, but that's not going over. 53% said the GOP's fault. Only 31% blamed Obama. What's more, the Affordable Care Act got more popular than it was last month. And Obama's approval ratings also were higher, while the GOP and Tea Party favorability both fell to the lowest levels in the history of the poll. So if you're an establishment Republican, your fear of being challenged by the Tea Party in a primary on the right is suddenly balanced by your knowledge that the Republican brand is in tatters. And at the end of the day, Thursday, a delegation from the GOP met at the White House with President Obama. Well, the meeting ended. Nobody said anything about what happened. The New York Times briefly reported that the president had rejected the offer. But then the Times walked that story back, so we don't know whether Obama said no to the GOP. But it's pretty obvious he didn't say yes. He may have said come back with a better offer, or Boehner may have said we'll give you some time to think about it. Meanwhile, Republicans and Democrats in the largely dysfunctional Senate are looking to wrest control of the crisis from the totally dysfunctional House of Representatives, and maybe that will spur Boehner to get his act together. Optimists say we'll have both the DL and the CR by Monday. The GOP is caving. Translation, DL debt limit, they'll raise it. CR, continuing resolution, the money they need to reopen the government, they'll pass it. I'm sure there are some very delicate negotiations going on inside the GOP caucus. It's going on between a faction that reads the polls and is terrified, and a faction that just doesn't let reality intrude on their thinking. Until next time, I'm Mickeleh. If you missed my previous videos on the Shutdown, they're in a playlist here. If you want another perspective on it, check out Dan Brown here. And as a bonus, Dan will also talk to you about Breaking Bad in the same video. I'm committing to 2 videos a week now, Tuesday and Friday, maybe more. Subscribe and you won't miss them. Well, maybe you will, the sub box being what it is. So for extra insurance, follow me on Twitter. Circle me on Google+. I will let you know when I upload. Bye now.